Click, click, boom.
Classic. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Blunt Talk. Joey Blaze hosting. We are live once again from our studio, back home here in an undisclosed location. Ross.
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
Awesome.
Yeah? Your first Nationals?
Yeah, great.
Man, it was nothing but a great time from start to finish. Nationals 2021, Davenport, Florida. It was lit. It was legit. It was everything we hoped for, everything we needed. And boy, what a show it was from start to finish. There's a music come back up. I'm trying to get to the actual play a video. Chill, bro. Chill. Now I got it muted. It's going perfect. Always got a technical problem at some random point. Yeah. It's working with an old laptop. Good evening, everyone. All right. Pause the music. There we go. Now we're good. Now I can watch it. Perfect. Anyways, anywho, let's get to it. We're going to do a bit of a recap with the scores that we do have. That's not COVID related. I just smoke way too much. Looking ahead at the A bracket, we're going to focus on that to start tonight's broadcast. From here till as late as 9:55, we're going to run it tonight. The main event celebration, as well as a recap and a look at Jerome Russo's top 10 A power rankings, or top 5, I think he's got. I honestly lost track myself. First, a recap of what went down in the A bracket on Friday. First and foremost, Lions and TakeOver, first game of that day. That was a good one. To start it out, we had the big moment before the game in which we honored Sev. Everyone got together. It was awesome, man. It really was. I unfortunately wasn't there to be a part of it. We were over at Simmers Young Park. We did some coverage over there of a bunch of different styles. It was a good time. Shout out UFFL. But let's go to the TakeOver Lions game. Lions 21, TakeOver nothing. Just an absolute beatdown in that game from start to finish. Lions came out electric in this tournament. They were playing for Sev all the way. They were balling out. In this first game, it was no exception. They did an excellent job. Big shout out to the Lions for how they started this tournament. First A game off the gate, and they made a huge statement. And it was the start of what was a really good weekend for the Lions. We'll get to that momentarily. Second game of the day, it was High Roller 17, Alliance 6. Didn't really get much of a glimpse at this one. I don't know if anyone actually covered it. Rollers starting out, good victory to go, but, that was some warm-up games to the bigger deal, the big prize at the end. Third game of the day, it was main event 23, Texas Prime 6. Main event, just a dominant performance overall. They came out hot in that game. Texas put up a bit of a fight, but just not enough to win that game. Can't really say much about it. Like I said, didn't have coverage on that one. But the next game, it was 7.3, Scorpion 0. Just was a dog fight. Yeah, 7 Point was a weird team in this tournament. Because on one hand, their defense only surrendered 9 points per game all 3 games. But their offense, they kicked a field goal, I believe, on the first drive of the first game against Scorpions, and that was it. That was it. 3-point spread, what they called them. Averaging 1 point per game. We're going to have more on that a little later on when we're going over a couple things. Just not a good. I mean, for 7 point, yeah, they won the game, but this was kind of a sign of how their weekend was going to go. The offense, non-existent. Couldn't get anything going for the whole tournament. We'll have that later because we got a couple more 7 point games to talk about. It's going to go ahead and look around.
Next game of
Next game, Punishers 14, Rollers 10. This looked like an absolute dogfight.
the rain.
Yeah, that's when the rain started. The $10,000 on the line.
Yeah.
High stakes, bad weather, big stage. You couldn't ask for any more out of this game.
Crazy game.
It lived up to the hype. It lived up to everything that we expected. And I'll tell you, man, we got to have more Punishers Rollers games on the circuit. We got to run that back. I mean, Punishers are 2-0 so far, but we got to run that one back. Going ahead, looking around to the next game. Aftermath beat Texas Prime. Don't have a score for that one. There was not one listed. If anybody has any information on that game, let me know. Really can't write much about it based on that. Next game after that, we go over and look at Gladiators 13, Takeover 6. Gladiators, they came into this tournament not the same Gladiators of any sort of team that Johnny's had, A couple of new pieces, a couple of friends of ours, actually, Ross.
Right.
A couple of stars from, our local league came out there and balled out this weekend.
Blue, Ken,
Sean, AJ, he was eating. Like, I give a big shout out to our guys from our league for coming on there, forming the new Gladiators. I think they got a lot of potential down the road. We'll see. It's early on. A team takes a bit to gel. For them, it was their first tournament as this current team. So we'll see how it goes going forward. But good start, 13-6. Next game was 148 Outlaws over Alliance. I think you were on this one, correct, Ross?
I was.
Give me your thoughts on Outlaws and Alliance.
It's a decent game. It's a defensive battle for the most part. Both offenses, 148 offense will drive the ball, but they just have turnovers and silly mistakes and stuff. But 148 Outlaws defense is pretty good.
Yeah. Their defense was tough this weekend. Yeah. That's the biggest thing they're missing, might be an offense. We'll see where it goes forward. Main event tied Strong Island 13-13. Bulldogs went up 10-0 to start this game. They looked really good. AJ Long, I believe, debuted for them, former University of Syracuse standout. Remember, I watched him play back in 2014 for the Orange, and he stood out and played really well for the Bulldogs here in relief of Birdman. We got a glimpse of Coach Birdman at the tournament. Birdman getting ready for maybe the next stage of his career down the road. Coach Birdman, I like it. He did a pretty good job out there. Strong Island, they had a really good weekend, all things considered. Really big shout out to them. We'll have more on them later. And the final game of Friday, one I did, Scorpions 28, Gladiators 6. I'll tell you, man, that Scorpions team, they were hot in that game. They were electric in that game. Like, I never seen a team just come out the way they did against the Gladiators in the game. They came out and punched them in the mouth early on, and they were vicious with them. They hit them. They were tougher and physical. But in the end, it was a dogfight still in the trenches. Always a dogfight. Scorpions just so much flash in that game. Like, I got to give it up to them. Scorpions had a pretty good weekend for missing a lot of key pieces going into this tournament. And that Glads game, I never seen a defense just pop like that on such a big stage. Like, they were swarming. Like, it was insane to watch. And, we talked about them, their LMFFL defense, only surrendering 1 point per game. That defense came out here. I thought they performed really well at Nationals for stepping up into A. Really interested to see how the Scorpions fare the rest of the way.
Yep.
Saturday's results are actually not on the page, so I'm going to try to do the best I can with it. See what came after Saturday. Trying to think of what I covered offhand. I want to say I got to pull the schedule, and I'll probably remember who won based on that. Yeah, I was trying to look it up because I thought I didn't finish my notes. In actuality, they just didn't have it recorded. But, it happens. We get busy. A lot of stuff going on this past weekend over at the Fields. Let me pull this up. Some of the games on Saturday, it was to start it out. Punishers over Alliance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you were on that game, correct?
I was.
I think you covered almost every Punishers game, if not every Punishers game.
I did.
Yeah.
I even got the tail end of Punishers Rollers.
Yeah. Your thoughts on Punishers Alliance?
Punishers came to play this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could definitely tell in that game, at least. So, I mean, like I said, Alliance was a good team. A couple pieces here and there. I think they'll definitely make some noise.
Yeah.
I forget the final score. I don't remember numbers.
Yeah,
I don't remember numbers and stuff. I was carrying stuff.
We had a lot going on.
The field, just everything. I don't remember numbers like you do. So the Punishers definitely dominating that game.
Yeah, for sure. Next game, main event of our aftermath. I want to say the final of that one was 21-13, 21-12, something close to that. Main event, they came out. They were sharp all weekend, man. Like, the only game in which I really thought they struggled. The Rollers game, they didn't put up many points, but at the same time, like the defense was just that was on it in that game. And then you take a look at the Strong Island game, they fell behind 10-0 early on, but bounced back to at least tie it. It's hard to hear, Ross, according to you. Everybody says you're hard to hear, but
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm still tired from the weekend too. I'm more out, man.
I feel that.
I ain't complaining.
I can't hear you now because you're the part where you're way too far away. There was like an episode weeks ago I was watching where you were over there talking, and you just see me go,
Can't hear nothing.
yeah, nothing. You just see me nodding my head at like what seems like nobody. Mm-hmm. Anywho, Scorpions take over victorious in this one. Don't have a score for that one either. Wasn't there for that. Punishers over 148 Outlaws. I believe you had that game, or am I wrong on that one?
I had that one too.
Yeah.
Same thing, man. Like, honestly, 148 Outlaws offense. They had chances. But Punishers, like I said, they came to play.
Yeah, Punishers definitely came to play this weekend.
148, I mean, their defense holds strong too. They had a good red zone stop at one point. Most, I think they committed penalties, something like that. So,
yeah. Next game going on, Strong Island Bulldogs aftermath. Bulldogs victorious in this one. We weren't there for that one, so I can't really say much on it. 7-point Gladiators. This was a defensive dogfight. Gladiators defense, like it played extremely well all weekend. This game was 7-point. We knew it was going to be physical. We were told coming in about the history between the Showtime guys and 7-point, going all the way back to Virginia 8-man. There's a lot of history between those two camps, and it was an absolute battle from start to finish. Very physical game, very chippy game, very good game to watch. Gladiators victorious, 6-0 in that one. So with that, 7-point, another game, can't move the ball. No points again. And you sit there and wonder, like, what went on with this offense this weekend? We'll have more of that when we talk in the power rankings for A. Next game after that was going down the line. Sorry, I'm going from left to right. It was High Rollers and 148 Outlaws. Were you on that one?
what was it?
Rollers Outlaws.
Yep.
Your impressions on it?
That one, the Outlaws were kind of falling apart by then.
You think a lot of it was like the lack of depth going into – you got to think that last year they were playing B. This year going into A. You think it wore them down a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to wonder about fatigue when you make that transition from B to A.
I mean, what was that? I think that was 13-0.
13-0.
I think that was the final score of that one.
Yeah. I think it sounded like a case where the defense performed again. It's just the offense.
Just kind of marched his way up the field. So, but the defense played well too. But yeah, they were just done at that point.
Yeah. It seemed like that was the case. Bulldogs over Texas Prime. Tyler had this one. Texas Prime, I watched a little bit of this one. Up until halftime, they were very much in this game.
Right.
Like, Texas Prime was giving the Bulldogs a fight. Like, it was 0-0 right before halftime, and then a 105-yard pick six. And after that, Texas never recovered. Texas finishing 0-3 for the weekend. Not the best showing for Texas. They got plenty of athletes. We'll see how Nyman grows there, but they're trying. We'll see how they go in the next couple years. And then the last game of Saturday, Lions 21, 7-point nothing. This was an ass kicking. This was the burial for 7-point. And, up until this point, 7-point overall, they were sitting at a -3 for the weekend. And you think about it like that, it's not a bad weekend, but this Lions game really skewed everything. The dominant defense that showed up in the first two games, they were absolutely bombarded by this offensive attack put together by the Lions. Offensively, 7-point just had nothing, man. Like, a very disappointing weekend for them. Like, you think about what they had put together. I mean, they brought a new revamped offense. D.O. came in. He brought the PME guys.
Right.
You figure former national championship winning quarterback and former national championship winning team. But they had nothing. Just nothing offensively.
Yeah, I didn't cover any of their games, so I don't know what happened there, but
it just seemed like the line got overwhelmed. D.O. was running for his life. It just wasn't a good showing for 7-point. Like, don't get me wrong, they were looking good in that first two games. Don't get me wrong, those first two games, I was thinking, man, this is a really good defensive team.
right.
But you get tired when the offense keeps going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And when you can't score at all, it gets demoralizing.
No doubt.
Yeah, like, it's not good for the defense's psyche. It's not good for anything. 7-point just struggled all weekend. It's been beaten to death at this point. I think Boss did a 5-hour show about it. Great show, by the way. Had a good time watching that one. But we'll get to that a little later on. Let's move on a little bit now to Sunday's games. Lions making day 2. They were the top seed. They had the first game. I want to say, trying to remember who was against. 148 Outlaws. Yes, Lions and Outlaws. Lions victorious again. They won that game. I want to say it was 19-0 was the final of that one. Lions there, up until this point of the tournament, were sitting at a plus. If you count the extra 21 they got from the bye, it was about a plus 82. But if you take away that bye, it is about a plus 61 for the weekend overall that they were doing going into the semifinals. They had 3 straight donuts given out in a row. That defense was looking fantastic. The offense was executing. The Lions were looking sharp as they headed into the semifinals. They took out the Outlaws. So Outlaws eliminated. We get to the next game. Strong Island Bulldogs took on the Gladiators, I do believe. Bulldogs victorious in that one. A little weird matchup when you see gold versus yellow. We have to see that back-to-back, I do believe. But Gladiators falling short in that one. Strong Island with the win. Don't really have a score on that one. I wasn't on that one. But Strong Island victorious. I think you were. Were you on that one?
Which one?
Strong Island Glads. I think you were.
Yep.
Your impressions on Bulldogs Gladiators?
Decent game. Kind of same issue, man. Gladiators couldn't really get too much going on offense, and it just came back to bite them in the butt. So
yeah,
but it was a good game.
Yeah, I definitely, from the sound of it, it seemed like a pretty competitive matchup for the most part.
Yeah.
Overall, Bulldogs advancing to the semifinals. Gladiators eliminated. Next game, Punishers. They were just pounding the Scorpions. I think it was like 19 or 21-0. I'm not sure. Either way, Scorpions taken out in the quarterfinals. They made day 3, though. Got to give a shout out to the Scorpions, man. They didn't really have everybody. They still came down. They still fought. They made the transition from B to A, and they played their asses off overall all weekend. We'll have more on the Scorpions a little later on in the A power rankings. We'll get Jerome on momentarily. Moving on now to the next one. It was main event 10, roller 6. This was a dog fight. Tyler Spencer had that game. That game was a absolute brawl, dude. That game was insane. Like, oh, man. It's available on the Blunt Talk page if you do want to watch it. It'll also be available on YouTube in the next couple of days and a week. I'm going to be doing everything I can to get some footage out. So far, the only 9-man game I published was Glad Scorpions. Jerome has some on his channel already up. So most of the tournament, a good amount of it's out there already. It's just a matter of getting the rest done, which we're going to have it as soon as we can. It's going to be lit. It's going to be legit. Looking forward to it. Semifinals time. It was main event over the Lions. I want to say it was 21-7 or 21-0. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. Main event, they came out in this tournament just determined. There was a lot of determination in that main event team to win this. Like a lot of heart, a lot of fight. They came out and balled out. They did an excellent job from start to finish. Big shout out to main event. They end the Lions run and for all intents and purposes take them out. As we move on to the other semifinal, it was in that game, it was Bulldogs and the Punishers. Yep. Punishers victorious. You had that game, Ross Collins.
That game.
What was your thought on Punishers and Bulldogs?
That was a crazy game.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite one. That covered the whole time.
Yeah.
That was definitely my favorite.
Yeah, that was an extremely good game. Mm-hmm. Absolute dog fight again between those two. 21-19 was the final there. Shout out Strong Island, man. What a run they had. Don't have Birdman coming into this. AJ coming in. I think someone had mentioned it was like one of his first tournaments starting. He looked the part, he's got a lot of potential down the road. He's very young still.
Had that Punishers D-line, Jared Foster coming out and stuff.
Yeah. That's somebody I don't think you want to line up against, Ross.
Nah, bro, I'm good on that one.
You enjoy the retirement home.
Maybe like once or twice, but like after that, it'll get real old real fast.
Championship game, main event Punishers, main event victorious in that one, 28-7. Biggest key to that one was it 28-7 again. Wow, y'all did back-to-back 28-7s, Chelani. Damn.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to go back over all of the film yet. I tried to earlier, but had a lot of things going on today. Yeah. Big statement by main event.
Wow.
They were 2 pick sixes in that game. They picked off Sizzle 4 different times. The offense was clicking. The defense was dominant. This game epitomized just how good main event was all weekend and showed the flag football 9-man world that main event ain't done yet. We talked about it. Main event had not won a 9-man tournament since AC 2019. It had been nearly 2 years since their last one. And they came out, they finally got the victory. They had that problem for a while with Strong Island, back-to-back tournaments. They got to Albany, couldn't beat them. Got to Charm City, couldn't beat them. But along the way, the one thing about Main Event, they were a consistent Final Four team. And, they have done absolute great work the last couple years. We're going to have some of them on tonight, right after we get through this segment real quick. So we're going to get them on right now. Joining me from Predator Productions, the self-proclaimed best live streamer in the world, Pure Opinion. Joining me at the moment, the voice of Main Event, actually, the longtime voice of Main Event, former player on Main Event, Mr. Jerome Russo of Predator Productions. Mr. Russo, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, sir. Welcome to Blunt Talk for the first time. Jerome, I want to get some of your thoughts on what you saw over the weekend in the A bracket. You were out there for about the first day. You got about a couple games in on day 2. Absent day 3, but I'm sure you've seen some of the streams, you've seen some of the clips. Give me your impressions overall on this past weekend before we present what you got in store.
Okay, perfect. I think what people are failing to realize is going forward that a lot of teams are getting better. A lot of these games where we used to see teams put up 30, 40, 45 points a game, that's no longer the case. Teams are getting better in the trenches, better in skill players' positions, better at making adjustments. And I think that's definitely why you see no team really averaging more than 20 points, all weekend. I think games are going to get much closer because going forward, as I said, teams are making adjustments.
Yeah, and the competition of 9-man just keeps getting better and better with each passing year. We could say 13 teams at A National this year, not a lot, but you had 13 very strong teams.
Right.
Sometimes numbers can be deceiving on how good a tournament really is, but overall, it was a grade A tournament. Main Event, hell of a run. Just awesome all around, man. Like it was great to see A bracket football again. It had been a long time for me, at least. Right. But Jerome, you cover a lot of those teams up north. Some people would say you are the North version of Joey Blaze. Some would say I'm the South version of Jerome Russo. Your impressions that going forward in the A bracket, and what do you have going on for your power rankings?
Going forward with the A bracket, it's really simple. You have to win in the trenches, and I think that's what separates A and B, because the skill positions in A and B are not that far off when you go from skill positions to a skill position as far as A and B. It's not much far off. The talent is pretty much there. The only thing that's really difficult is the offensive and defensive line. If you don't bring that to A, you will not win. And you've seen that in many games that these games are won in the trenches. So absolute fact. That was always something that plagued a couple teams I knew who traveled on the A circuit for a while, was the lack of trenches when it came down to A. You got to be deep. You got to be big. You got to make sure you got enough to last the whole weekend. We talked earlier about how Ross felt like the 148 Outlaws faded as the tournament went on. Mm-hmm.
And they just weren't the same team as they were as a start. It's tough. It really is. A bracket ball will wear you down. Like, Ross, you played A bracket ball. You were on Adrenaline Rush back in Hagerstown 2018. You played Scorpions Rampage then, and then 2019 you played against Main Event and the Bullets, actually.
Yep.
How tough the A bracket scene is. Jerome, you played A ball for Main Event for a long time. Especially in the trenches. It's a whole other animal. It's a different game.
It's speed. People don't realize that when you come from 4-man, 5-man, 6-man, 7-man, 8-man, depending on what style you playing, 8-man, people don't understand that these linemen can run with you. Some other styles you're able to run, east to west, and sometimes you get around the DE and you make plays with your legs. You got to understand that when you come in here, you're playing against, some professional, former professional players, or you're playing against D1 athletes who can run with you. So I think that, like people say, when you go, from the college level to the NFL level, the speed of the game, and it's different when you have, these gazelles on the line that can run with you. I think people really underestimate that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, like when we first started out, Ross and I playing here in Hagerstown, we used to think the guys on the Broad Axe team were big on the trenches. And then when you start getting out there and seeing more and more of what's to offer in A bracket flag football, the game is stronger than ever in the trenches. And I feel like that's something that a lot of teams, if you can't find the bodies nearby, go out and find them anywhere you can, man. Like, even if you have to bring in some guy from semi-pro, teach him how to do the footwork properly. As long as he has the technique, he can play it. Ross, you came from running a wing T system in high school, but you were one of the better blockers in Washington County for a bit.
Oh, decent.
Somewhat. But at the same time, the A bracket, it is different. It really is, especially, for a lot of teams who made the crossover. Let's take a look at those teams, actually, Jerome, as I try to put your rankings on real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see where it is. Perfect. Share. There we go. Right now on screen, you see Jerome's rankings. I guess I'm on screen too. Earlier I was at the start of the stream. I was trying to hide off camera. I think I ruined that intro a little bit. Oh, well.
It's all right.
So here we go. Let's get on camera for a second. Take a look at it. So right now, what's the best way to read this, Jerome? Looks like you have a top 6.
Yeah, yes, I have a top 6 because of, I think we have 14 teams, 13 teams, something like that.
Yeah, 13. So we know offhand we got about 13 teams for A going into this year.
Right.
That's going to change throughout the year, obviously.
Absolutely. Next tournament is going to change.
Oh, definitely. Let's take a look at the previous rankings Jerome had. Number 6, he had Gladiators. 5, he had Takeover. 4, he had the Dogs. 3, he had Punishers. 2 Main Event, and 1 the Lions. First and foremost, the top 4 that he had were the Final 4. Got to give a shout out on that one. He got the top 4 teams correct on that. A lot of shuffle, though. Takeover. They were the number 5 team coming in. You actually had them dropped out of the rankings, Jerome, correct?
Yes, sir.
And who do you have taking their place at number 5?
The High Rollers. Yeah,
that's a good choice. Honestly, I felt like the Rollers on my end were a top 5 team already, but I feel like they really solidified it this past weekend. I don't know what the future of the Rollers is going forward. I'm not sure what happened. I know Matt Bailey had some things to say on Tuesday morning.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see what's going on. And you never know. A bracket ball is just different. Guys will pop up wherever.
I'll be honest. They probably were the best overall team of the tournament, as far as consistency on offense and an extremely well put together defense. Statistically, they were the best overall team when you look at the numbers, and I think that's how my power rankings are broken down. Statistically, they were probably the best team of the tournament.
Yeah. No, they were doing some work. The Rollers were doing some – well, I mean, a little bit. I kind of feel like statistically the Lions had the best resume up until day 2 or day 3, I should say. They were doing absolute work. The plus 42 they had a plus 61 for the first 3 games going into the semis before Main Event waxed them.
Right.
Like, it's kind of scary to think that the Lions were just doing the work they were doing only for someone just much bigger and stronger to come by and just give them the business. But yeah, you got Rollers at number 5. Who is your number 4, Jerome?
My number 4 going in. Number 6 is the Gladiators. I want to make sure we clarify that.
Yeah. Gladiators stayed at 6. Didn't go up. Didn't go down.
Right. Gladiators stayed at 6. Rollers stay at 5. Dogs stay at 4. Again, the Dogs had a really good team going in, and again, like you said, this is AJ Long's first game of 9-man taking over for Birdman. He is a very, very excellent player in 7-man, which we will be covering this weekend. He is a very excellent player. But again, certain things that new quarterbacks have to understand is that D-line can run after you, and teams are very good at making adjustments at this level. So the Dogs stay at my number 4 position right now.
Okay. Who do you got number 3?
Number 3, I have the Lions. Like you said, a very good showing. The first three games. 221-point win, 20.0 wins, and I believe they got the 21.0 win off of the bye. So again, a great showing. But unfortunately, it didn't translate until Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, early on, they looked really good to start, but they went up against, an Outlaws team that, Ross said they were gassed by Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sunday morning, it's tough to get up to go for that one game. You're at that point where you're at your end. But, Lions, they had a hell of a weekend, all things considered, which makes what Main Event did to them in that game even more impressive.
Right. And I 100% agree with you. And I think people don't understand that, some people – they rest players, because it's like, okay, we can afford to take a loss, but you can't do that in 2021 because teams have rotations where they can bring in these great defensive linemen and they could just get after you. If you're from New York and you're watching, and when the Giants won the Super Bowl, they had the NASCAR package, and when we beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, it was the same thing. We had these D linemen who can rotate in, so I think people really underestimate that. And I think that's what hurts you on Sunday when you don't have those bodies to rotate in and out.
Exactly. 100% agreed. Continue on, Jerome.
So for number 2, we have the Punishers. Or did I just speak of number 2? No, that was the Lions. Okay, I'm sorry. Number 2, we have the Punishers, and they went from number 3, they moved up a spot. Unfortunately, they fell to Main Event in the finals. And I think a very balanced team. When you look at it, they came in with the second, I believe the second most points scored over the Friday and Saturday span. They came on with a really hot offense, and the defense was playing very well, but they just ran into a wall and made too many mistakes. I believe in the championship game that eventually cost them the game. But again, a very hot team coming in, and got to give them boys respect, man. Tino back there, the GOAT. And it's hard to stop them once they get going. So,
absolutely. And of course, the new number one in the Russo rankings. We got Main Event. What else can we say? They are the champions.
Yes, sir.
What a run they have had.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just. Let me just say this. I think Main Event owns flag football right now. No, I'm just saying. Think about it. 5-man East Coast national champions.
Mm-hmm.
You were there in Vegas, Jerome, for 8-man.
I was.
West Coast national champions. We were there for 9-man national championship. You take a look at what Main Event has done.
They won 7-man too.
Did they have a 7-man chip?
Yeah, they have a 7-man.
They got 5, 7, 8, 9.
Mm-hmm.
Elliott needs a 4-man team next. Maybe like a little offshoot, like a little bit like something like a free smoke kind of team thrown in there. Get a 4-man team, 6-man team. There's got to be a 6-man nationals coming up, right?
Something like that. I mean, it depends which if you want to go UFFL or FFWCT. It depends which nationals you want to go to. So we'll see.
What a run, though. What an absolute run by Main Event.
A lot of adjustments.
Football.
And one thing that I personally told Chris that people don't give, as we see teams making adjustments, people don't give people credit as far as where, making adjustments, because again, in the Dogs game, just as an example, in a Dogs game, when you have a quarterback with the caliber of running skills that AJ has, you have to make adjustments. And then I think he didn't when they were able to do that. I think that's why that 10-point lead dissipated in the second half. because now you make adjustments on that line and you shut down his running ability, and he struggled the second half. So I think that's something that they made sure they wanted to fix that in the second half. And again, that's having great players, and that's listening to coaching. And I think that's something that if they can minimize the turnovers, if they can play excellent defense, it's going to be very hard to stop that team, man. I've been saying it for years. Minimize turnovers and keep that defense together, and it's going to be very hard to beat that team.
Absolutely, 100% agreed with you, Jerome. It's going to be interesting going forward. We are about 2 months away from the next A tournament. We'll see which.
Hopefully.
Jamie said, could be Atlantic City. We'll see what happens.
Right.
I'm looking forward to just being back on the circuit. I feel like last year was tough on everybody. We didn't really have a circuit. The closest thing we had to an A tournament was Corona Classic 1. Even then, Corona was hurt by the fact that New York State just wasn't allowing all the competition in.
Right.
I feel like it's good to see it back in action. A year later, nothing much has changed. It's still about main event. It's still about the Lions. It's still about the Punishers. It's still about Strong Island. The best of the best have stayed up top.
Right. And as we spoke about, earlier, like it's New York is heavy in this tournament. And as I said, that it just by sheer numbers, a team from New York is going to win. Main event from New York, Punishers from New York, the Dogs are from New York, the Rollers are from New York, Gladiators are from New York, Takeover is from New York. That's 6 of the 13 teams out of New York. So it's a real northern thing. So I'm definitely excited to have the St. Louis teams move up, to A. I'm definitely excited to see more DMV teams move up and play A. Like, that's what makes it fascinating for me as not only a filmmaker, but as a viewer, as a watcher, as a lover of the sport, to see more teams from more states, intermingle into this thing that we call flag football.
I would like to see more get involved. I think, A level is not exactly achievable overnight. Texas is trying their hardest to get to that part. And, there's so much talent in Texas.
Yes.
Let's take a look and get some final thoughts on some of these teams, Jerome, real quick. Looking over at the 13 teams, the ones who did not really get anywhere, Alliance, what do you think of Alliance going forward?
I mean, just statistically, because I didn't see a lot of Alliance, they defense need to get better. They allowed 61 points in 3 games. That's not something that you can do against some of these elite teams. You have to figure out defensive wise. Texas Prime, they have to get their offense together. I know it's difficult because their talent is spread between so many teams. Hopefully if they can retain some talent, they can have a decent team going in. 7-point spread was just really, as you already alluded to, a team from the DMV that have a championship under their belt. You have a championship quarterback, so to not put up any points, any offensive touchdowns is probably the most shocking thing of the tournament, in my opinion. Aftermath.
I ain't gonna lie, man. Like 7 point, it ain't the same. That defense could ball out. Don't get me wrong. That defense put up a fight, but they got tired. You get tired just going back in after your offense sputters out. You get tired.
Absolutely. And a lot of go ahead.
I just felt like the 7-point team, they were probably better off playing in B.
I mean, it's difficult because sometimes you just really don't know what you're going to have coming into certain tournaments, and again, just like I was going to say, what is this? Aftermath had a tough bracket. And it hurts whereas, it's hard to play some of these top teams and even make it to Sunday. And then you have Takeover, who just couldn't get anything done offensively. So that's, Mela's a really good quarterback, but they just couldn't get anything going offensively. So that's something that they need to work on. I know they're going to come back. I know they're going to come strong. They're going to come back stronger. Their offensive defensive line is always going to be a problem with Genius on the field. All pro and, offensive defense. At any point in the game, he could be the best offensive defensive lineman in the game. Outlaws, I didn't see a lot about Outlaws, but statistically, everything was pretty much close. It was only a -10 between the two. So again, a team that's right in the mix of doing some big things. They got to put up some more points. Scorpions, again, in a tough bracket, but they still was able to make it to Sunday. They just got to do something offensively. I believe Scorpions and Outlaw were both shut out in their games. So again, they just got to do something offensively. Just get back in the mix of things. Gladiators, pretty much an up and down weekend. They won their 2 games, but the game they lost, they got blown out by the Scorpions, which was the Scorpions' only win. So again, they got to figure out what's going on with that. Johnny, I know Johnny's going to come back and he's going to, have a stronger showing in the next one. As far as the Rollers at number 5, again, a very well balanced team, probably the most balanced team of the tournament. And again, you have they could have easily won a championship, Joey. I'll be honest with you. If Rollers don't lose to Main Event, I think they might have won the championship because of how their game and the Punishers game went. With the pick 6, pretty much, end that game. Not saying that it ended the game, but just the momentum that it carried, between that. Also with the Dogs, again, a very balanced team, came in very strong. Have had a very good showing on defense, but I heard a couple key players got injured, unfortunately, and maybe things could have been different for them going forward. The Lions, again, what happened on Sunday, that you don't allow no points on Friday and Saturday, and then on Sunday, your offense sputters. So, they got to figure out what they're gonna do going forward. Again, that was my number 1 team coming in, just from overall performance, and I knew that even though they played bad with in Corona, they were gonna come in strong, but unfortunately fizzled out on Sunday. Punishers coming in at number 2, again, a very balanced team. I know Eric is gonna re-up. He's gonna shore up that offense, get them more weapons, and the defense played on point all weekend. So again, you fell to the better team of the day one, and I think that's what the number 1 team is in Main Event. They were just the most balanced team, the most consistent team, and probably the hardest team to defend against. And I think that is what allowed them to win this championship.
Yeah. Like, Main Event balled out, man. Like, there's nothing more to say.
Right.
About the performance they gave this past weekend. What do you think going forward out of the A bracket? What's your advice to some of these teams?
War of attrition, man. Understand how to make adjustments. Understand that if you're going to bring some players into the A bracket, they have to understand that things that they're doing in either the B bracket or other styles don't always translate to 9-man A. It's much faster than you think, and the games are much closer. So a small mistake could win you a game or can lose you a game. You have to get linemen if you want to play in 9-man A. You have to have a good rotation and a steady rotation, and you have to understand that injuries are going to happen. So if you're not prepared for that as well, that can also derail your tournament hopes. So that's all I got, man. A very interesting weekend, and I can't wait for the next one to have all of these numbers change. And again, this is an unbiased. This is an unbiased ranking for our media rankings. This is not an official rankings. I want to put that out there now. This is not an official rankings. This is a media rankings.
I will say, I kind of do have a different outlook on
absolutely
the rankings than yours.
Absolutely.
I do have my own, but I'm going to let you tell yours and let you have that part.
Right.
Like, the only real difference I had when looking at the ones I wrote up earlier, I went with 10. We'll go over what I had real quick, just to go for how I felt. You did a lot of work on yours. You had a lot of metrics to yours. That was really unique. Mine is just a bunch of variables. I look at overall performances. I look at how teams came out in fall. I look at schedules. For number 10, I did a top 10 on mine. I had Aftermath. Aftermath, they had a better faring this year than last year. The move of bringing Clancy in at quarterback, I feel like helped out a lot. But, it's hard when Clancy, that was him playing with Aftermath for the very first time. They sent Doc out. Doc went out and actually played for the Maryland Titans.
Okay.
We'll have more on him later tonight when we talk about the B. But, aftermath, they beat Texas, but they had 2 tough draws to Main Event and Strong Island.
Right.
And I feel like they played Main Event pretty tough, actually.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, like the difference, there's 2 differences going into these tournaments that people don't understand. It's two things. Your bracket will dictate most of the time whether you go to Sunday or not. And I think that if Aftermath was in a different bracket, they could have made it. They could have made some noise going forward. I believe if they were in a different bracket. I mean,
It's all about luck at the draw with a lot of these brackets.
Absolutely. So who's your number 9 team?
My number 9, I had TakeOver.
Okay.
Like they didn't have the best weekend, but it was a case where they did beat Scorpions. They got that win. They weren't that Lions game. Lions, I feel like they had a big chip on their shoulder. That was the first game since
emotional.
Yeah.
That was an emotional win.
That was
an
the
emotional
first
win.
game post Severino. And the last, I want to say Seb's last game as coach was a loss to TakeOver and Corona too. And so you linger back on that, and you reflect on forward going into this game. A lot of emotion. The pregame. TakeOver had an awful draw. I think for TakeOver, Lions was the worst possible draw they could have gotten to start this tournament.
Yeah.
Lions had a lot to play for.
Yeah, it's a very emotional game. They was going to come out there with the fire. They was going to come out there to prove something. And they was going to give it everything they had that first game. And I think they gave it everything they had, the first 2 days. And then, again, they fell on Sunday, but teams fight, man. When these emotional on the line, teams fight, and I think they showed it.
Yeah, a lot of fight indeed. My number 8, looking at that, was 148 Outlaws. This was a pretty good debut for them in A. Like we talk about that jump from B to A. And especially when you consider they didn't play any A ball this year going into it. Their last tournament, I think they played in Corona, but like the last real A tournament, Nationals, you go back and look at it, they were playing B last Nationals.
Right.
They made that jump to A. They did work. They got to A for my eyes. They impressed me. They did really well. Like Ross said, we feel like a lot of it seemed like they just didn't have the depth to finish, but that could be improved on.
But you got to think about it like this. Their first 2 games were close. Yeah. You talk about a 13-6 win and then a 2-point loss in their second game. And then I guess the third game got a little out of hand, 21-6. We don't know the whole story behind that. But again, those are close games. You know what I mean? So you think if the ball drops the other way and they pick up that loss from number 2 and they go in 2-1, who knows what could happen? You know what I mean? So yeah.
Coming in now, number 7, I had Gladiators, but the reason I had Gladiators was because they had Scorpions. They finished in the same round. Yeah, Glads had the better overall record,
right? But the head to head.
But when you look at it, I just feel like the Scorpions come out of this a lot more stronger. Mostly because of that Glads game. Gave them the confidence they needed to compete. They came out fighting, man. 7 points. Right. They had their defense show up. They didn't have Greg Proctor this weekend, but they still came out fighting.
Right.
That was a hell of a Scorpions. The last time I saw them without Greg was back at York when they played Gusto Land, and Gusto Land wiped the floor with them. And I was wondering, I don't know if Scorpions can hang without Brock. They proved otherwise. They can come and fight. They will not give up. Hell of a team.
There are 2 games. Their first game, to be honest with you, they easily could have been 3-0. Their first game, they lost by 3 points. And their third game, they lost by a touchdown. So if you flip those scores, they can easily be 3-0. So again, it's little things, it's little mistakes that can win or lose you a game. Like you said, a very strong showing. And I'm excited to see what they do going forward. That's one of my sleeper teams to possibly crack the top 4 going forward.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes, man. I feel like there's a lot of potential. That defense, that defense can play.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like against Punishers, that's a tough Sunday draw. I think Proc would have made a big difference this week. They were missing several key pieces. I feel like if this was the Scorpions I saw all year down here in the DMV and the 4 state, they would have, I think, given a much, much bigger fight to the Punishers. The Scorpions on Sunday, it's a lot to come into that game. They were already given a tall task. Come play in A. First time that Scorpions have been at A since Charm City 2019. And, at Charm City, they proved they could hang back then, too. They nearly beat the Glads in that tournament when Matt Bailey was quarterback. But, I give a lot of praise to the Scorpions. Easily, in my opinion, the best team in the DMV right now. Nobody can dispute that. And this past weekend, they proved it without a doubt, 100%.
Defense is scary, man. Only allowing 23 points in 3 games. That's extremely difficult to do. Extremely difficult to do.
Yeah. And, like I said, they didn't have all their pieces. I think that 7-point game goes differently at Prox there.
Okay.
I really do. And that shows you while they did well with what they had, they did great. It's hard when you lose a leader like Greg Proctor.
Yeah.
Number 5, I had the Rollers where you had them. Nothing to really say with the Rollers that I already had. I felt like they had a really good team, a lot of second gen flavor to that team.
Absolutely.
A lot of second gen flavor. I didn't get a chance to cover them though. I was kind of saddened by it, but from the looks of things, they had something, but I don't know what they have going forward. We'll see.
We'll see after this if they split. If we're hearing correctly, if second gen breaks off into their own team and High Rollers breaks off to their own team, what happens with both teams? That's going to be interesting going forward.
I think a reunion of Matt Bailey and second gen and Mike G is a scary thought for a lot of people in flag football.
This team was extremely balanced, offense and defensively. And again, they don't, they had a close loss against a late loss against Main Event. And again, they almost beat the Punishers in their game in the Rainbow. Second to last play, the receiver drops the ball in the end zone. And the last play was an incomplete pass. So again, they could have easily won those 2 games. But unfortunately, the ball didn't land where they needed to, and they took the L.
Yeah, and we move on now to my number 4. I had Lions, and I know that sounds weird. I feel like not having that third game kind of.
Yes.
Yes,
we spoke about that.
Like for as dominant as they were in this tournament. You look at the competition they faced.
Yes.
Best team was 148 Outlaws. You look
they
at
had a bad offense.
Yeah. And then Takeover, they were 9th in my rankings. 7-point, I didn't rank anybody after 10, so they were unranked. Like Lions had probably one of the weaker schedules of the weekend. Yeah. But you could argue, whereas, Strong Island, they had to play Main Event first to start out. They played against an Aftermath team who I could argue they did show me a lot in the DMV this year. We had them at Clash of York Cross. I saw they played the Scorpions extremely well in the OMFFL championship. I just felt like Strong Island has more momentum going forward.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when you look at how it ended. Lions getting blown out by Main Event. Strong Island giving Punishers a fight without Birdman playing. Yeah. To me, that's a big statement.
21-19 was that score.
Yeah.
So again,
Just
if
a little bit
they
off
could have
on
went to the
extra
finals.
points, and it could have been,
Yep. It could have been it could have been another game with the Dogs in main event, which would have been, classic 9-man A. Best rivalry right now is main event and the Dogs. Best rivalry.
100% agree. Best rivalry is main event and Strong Island. Number 2, I had the Punishers, of course, second place, runners up. My previous rankings, for those wondering, I didn't actually go over this, meant to earlier. I have already forgotten. That was 3 weeks ago. I do believe, though, that out of the top 5, I had Strong Island in there, tied for 5th, with 7 point based on performance. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks a little rough now in retrospect.
I'll say this. I'll say this. I believe TakeOver will come back stronger than 7 Point will. Just off consistency. I think just off of,
I just wonder where 7 Point's going to go at this point.
Yeah.
Because does the Dio marriage fall apart? Or are we going to see the return of PME later in the year?
I mean, he might got something to prove, man. Yeah. He might got something to prove. I mean, no offensive touchdowns. That's not Dio's style. That's
and it's crazy to think.
Shocking.
What was it, 3 years ago? He won the national championship. 5 years, something like that. Just not a good weekend. But finishing number 1, of course, main event. What more can we say? Best team in the country. Best franchise in flag football.
Yeah, right now it's looking like that. I mean, in all styles, like you said, 9-man, 8-man, 7-man, and 5-man.
I wonder if Elliot will take me up on the 11-man game idea I've been trying to pick.
Listen, I'll play. Once we get that going, I'll be a player.
Come out of retirement.
I'll come out of retirement for 11-man.
How about this? I'll issue the challenge right now. TBT versus main event in 11-man. I get my guys ready.
I'm not a spokesman. I'm not a spokesman for main event. I'm not a spokesman. I'm
just putting the proposal out there. Let's do it. We'll honor the first 11-man flag football champion.
That'll be very
TBT versus main event.
I think that's something that Ellie and Chris may could work out. We'll see. I think more teams got to be on board.
Maybe get less than 11 for that one.
Oh boy.
I don't know. We probably get a lot of people. We got a lot of diff. This ain't KFFL. This would be main event. That's a lot different.
Yeah, everybody gonna want to come down. Everybody DMV gonna join forces to take a main event.
Oh yeah, it'd be fun time. I like that challenge.
But yeah, that wraps up my my coverage of the weekend so far. I'm looking forward. Like I said, I'm looking forward to AC if AC happens or whatever the next tournament is. And once these numbers, start changing and teams start dropping off, and it's just funny how like we were, they scoffed at us for our previous rankings, but a lot of them hit, man. A lot of them hit. I think the only one that really shocked me was TakeOver. But other than that, because we knew the Rollers were gonna crack the top 6. I just didn't know about consistency. But again, they probably were the best, most well-rounded team of the tournament. So. Yeah, man, that's all I got. Until next time.
Till next time, Mr. Russo, we'll have you on again down the road. We'll hopefully get a chance to talk to you prior to Atlantic City. We know that's hopefully the next tournament. I'd like to see it, man. AC, that'd be cool. I've never been there. That's what I've been told. See, the last 2, I've had opportunities to go. 3 years ago, I was offered a ride by Mayhem, turned it down because I was kind of weary about traveling back then. 2 years ago, AFN offered me, and probably a good thing that I didn't go. And then last year, of course, Corona. So what's going to happen this year in Atlantic City? Hopefully we get some flag football action.
Yeah.
In fact, let's go out there and celebrate, because that's going to be your birthday, Ross Collins, Atlantic City week.
What?
Yeah, Atlantic City's always around your birthday weekend.
It is.
Go out there and celebrate. You at AC. I'll celebrate at OC. Jerome, when's your birthday?
November. I will be Rhode Island, but I don't know.
You'll be Rhode Island. There we go.
I'm not doing Rhode Island. I don't know about Rhode Island.
Rhode Island's great.
Jamie crazy out there with that cold. That is frigid temperatures. That's frigid.
Ain't got nothing on Hagerstown.
No, not at all. But still, I don't know about that.
We'll see. We'll see where we go this upcoming circuit year. Anyways, thank you for joining us tonight, Jerome. Would you like to stick around for the main event celebration? I mean, after all, you are a part of the main event franchise. You are the official cameraman of main event, the announcer of main event. Would you like to be a part of it?
I'll see. I don't even know who's coming on. We're still trying to figure that out.
We got our first guest on right now.
Okay.
Introduce himself. Welcome to the show. We can get him on. Says connecting. You know how it is with Zoom.
Yeah, I'll let him talk, and then I'll just tune in for you guys.
The bad news is he's got no sound and he's got no video.
Oh boy, let's do so. Oh, he cut the sound on. He might be.
Oh, is that the sound on? There's the video.
There we go.
Got it
there
now.
we go.
I thought about to have another Chris Boone interview from 2 weeks ago.
Oh boy. All right, let me get out of here and let me watch and learn, and y'all do your thing.
All right, man. Thank you for joining us tonight, Jerome. We'll speak to you in about a few months. Next time we are on the circuit, we'll see when that is. We're going to see about New Jersey this weekend. Best of luck. I know you got XFL up there. I may be joining. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But let's get on and celebrate the champions themselves, the main event. Deuce, welcome to the show.
What's going on, Joey? Appreciate you having us.
Nope. Thank you, man. I'm glad to have you all. Really am. What I tell you, you guys are balling right now. 6 months ago, we did a post segment after East Coast Nationals where I interviewed Mike D. He was on the phone with me. The one thing he said that stood out to me that was the statement of 2020 after Main Event beat Showtime in that championship was that Main Event was going to start a run. And the run culminated in this weekend at Nationals.
Yeah, I think I think he was right. I think winning East Coast Regionals and 5-man started the run for us. But with everything that was going on this year, like everybody didn't have a chance of playing together. And I think with us playing different formats and, keeping the same group of guys playing, 5-man, 6-man, 7-man, 8-man, even 9-man, playing together and, not adding pieces, just sticking with the core guys. I think that help came down, coming into Nationals, at least we had some type of chemistry with each other. We traveled to go play. It wasn't just like local tournaments. We went to Las Vegas, went to Colorado, and I think, like I said, I think playing those different formats, kept the unity together.
Tell us, all that traveling, all the different formats, how did that prepare you for this upcoming, well, not upcoming now, we're already past it, this past tournament over at Nationals? Because, yes, you said it, Main Event was everywhere last year. I think I remember there was a tournament somewhere where Main Event had Mike D on one field quarterbacking 8-man and Rob Lane on the other field quarterbacking 7-man at the exact same time.
Yeah, we was in Philly Bowl actually, and we kind of hurt ourselves a little bit. I think we had a chance of winning the 7-man tournament, the 7-man style, but we made a late run in 8-man style also. As far as we lost the first game to AU, who eventually won 8-man Nationals this year. Then we went on the run. We won like 7 straight games to get back into the championship game. We ended up beating AU to put them out. We beat a very good UT Cobras team, all while at the same time, Rob Lane handling, some of the other core main event guys in the 7-man style. I think 7-man probably was our best chance. We ended up losing 7-man championship game to the Valley Goats, but we also lost the 8-man game to, Chico, another great 8-man team. But, I think, like you said, just playing together, even in the same tournaments, just sticking together, that helped, come down to the biggest tournament of all.
Yeah. And that's something a lot of teams really didn't do much of this year, was travel the way you guys did. I think I make the argument. I can make the comparison. Main Event this year in flag football reminded me a lot of what Alabama was doing in college football this past season. They were going out, they were playing tough competition week to week. They were traveling more than most programs, and it showed in that championship for both teams just what all that work did for them to get them to where they were.
Yeah, I think I don't think we was as explosive on offense as Alabama was. But I think we just all trusted in each other. Like I said, we played together all year long, different formats, and just having Mike D at quarterback. I mean, you can never feel yourself you out of a game when Mike is at quarterback. So, and I think that's the biggest thing, just trusting in Mike. I feel like long as I have Mike at quarterback, I'm still in the game. No matter the score, how much time left, I still feel like we got a chance. And, that speaks volumes to him because like Mike has won on every level, 8-man, 5-man, 9-man, and that carries over. You need that type of leadership on your team.
I have to say, he is having what I can argue to be his best year of flag ever. Just the way he's won so many different styles this year and going out and played different styles. Like I saw Mike D everywhere I went over the weekend, whether it be playing 5-man contact. I went and covered main event against both Judah and Showtime. Less said the better on that main event. I covered him 5-man non-contact playing for athletes the next day. Had a lot of fun covering that team. That was a good time. And then you see him in the evenings. He's playing against the Bulldogs. He's playing against Aftermath. He's playing Texas. He's playing the Rollers. He's playing the Lions. He's playing the Punishers. He faces the best of the best on a weekly basis.
Watch that Showtime Goats game.
No one can hear you. You're on the other side of the field.
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I did. Okay. Ross asking about, we're not talking about that. Keep going. Why are you ready? Anyways, Ross is being Ross. But Mike D, love you, Ross. Mike D's had a hell of a run in the last 6 months.
Definitely. I mean, like I said, he's one of the top quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback to play flag football. And, that's an arguable statement. I could be biased because, he's my quarterback, but at the same time, it's not many guys you can say that did that on every level, any format, any style, you know what I mean? And the good thing about Mike is he trusts in all his guys, but he also knows, when it's time for somebody else, or he give other guys credit also. And I mean, he just a competitor though. I mean, it's like it don't matter where we at. You could be in the middle of the street if it's a football and somebody want to play, Mike will line it up anyway. That's the type of guy you could go to bat for. He could be, Mike. Everybody know how Mike is. But when you've been playing with him long enough, you ignore it and just keep rolling with the punches.
Yeah. And I look forward to seeing how main event carries this momentum into the 2021 flag football season. Because we're here. This is it now. There's no break after nationals. Yeah, 9-man, you're going to have a couple months off.
Yeah.
But this game's year round. I'm sure you're probably playing very soon, Deuce.
Yep. I play 8-man, 5-man. That's how I really started flag. I just got into the 9-man game. It's actually my 3rd year playing 9-man. My first year was at Austin Tyndall. I was playing with the Gladiators, and that's when we lost the main event in the semifinals. We threw a pick 6 to Cato, the first play of the game. And when I first started playing 9-man, I didn't even play a snap like the first 3 games, on the Gladiators. And I think somebody got hurt or no, Jarvis and Lil Chris, and RT. I knew all them guys because I used to live in Dallas, and they just asked Johnny like, why is he not in the game? And I played every snap since then. But then I moved over to 9-man. Actually, I played with the Gladiators in Charm City. Was that it? When we lost the main event in the Final Four.
I was there for that one. I was there that day.
I
That
scored.
was a damn good game. Mike D
three
versus Matt.
touchdowns. We had Matt Bailey at quarterback. I had 3 touchdowns that game, and after that game, Mike,
you were killing it, bro. You were killing it.
And I think that kind of like opened some eyes of myself on the 9-man circuit. After that game, Mike was just like, it's no reason I shouldn't be playing with him. And then like in our little small like league plays in Philly, Mike is my quarterback anyway, so he'll just come on over and play with him. Yeah, I mean it was kind of a no-brainer. Gladiators had their thing going on at the time where there's a lot of stuff on the inside camp, on the inside that I don't speak of because I don't actually know everything, but I didn't want to be in the middle of anything, so kind of just let everything hash itself out.
Yeah. Let's see. Your impressions on the weekend. Give me some of your thoughts on some of the games you played this past weekend. And let's start with 9-man.
Yeah. I think all 9-man games are very competitive. I think the one I enjoyed the most was probably against the Rollers. Just on the simple fact you got guys like Dre and Tavon who's gonna come at you every single play. They don't care if you catch a pass, you catch 10 passes. They feel like they're gonna win the next play. And those, a guy like me, I'm a competitor, so those are the type of guys I want to compete with. Then there's some other guys that's on the circuit that just talk. Everybody talk trash. I mean, that's just part of the game, but it's like you haven't really did too much. So, but I think all the games were competitive. Having a battle with Coco, I had to line up against Coco a few times. Newt, I think Newt outside of Will Cole, I think Newt for the Lions might be the best flag player, in 9-man. He arguably could do it all. And, just some of the quarterback play also. Costa, Sizzle, my first time playing both of those two guys. But, just the competition, those guys like down 21, up 21, they coming with the same intensity every play. And those type, that's just the type of game as a competitor you love to play in, because if you score, I know I got guys that's backing me up at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So main event, you played the number 2, 3, and 4 and 5 team in this tournament. Now, in my rankings, of course, and what Jerome had, we said Punisher second best. I want to hear from you. Who do you think is the second best team in the A right now between those 4? Who do you think was the best of those teams you faced all weekend?
If I had to rank them, I actually would go Punishers too. I think as a team, the Punishers is across the board, they really good. They probably missing a few key pieces on defense, that'll push them over the edge. But I think offensively, I think they match up with anybody. I think as being the second for Punishers as number 2, I think we were just a bad matchup for them because we matched up evenly on the defensive side than they did with their offensive skill players. I didn't think they defensive skill players matched with our offensive skill players, but with what Eric has done with his receiving core and his quarterback play, guys like Pomo, T. Holmes, all those guys, Thomas, I think we was able to match up evenly on the defensive side. But when we got the ball, I didn't think it was that even, as equal. Number 3, I think the Rollers, just because of just because of who they had on their team. You know, they had guys like, you know, Matt Bailey at quarterback. You know, he was the former national champion in 9-man. But then you got guys like CJ Tarver on his offense who could catch the ball and go 80, who could, you know, J.O., who you could just stand up and throw a screen to him and he could go 80. And then you had guys from on their defense, like I just said, you had Tavon, Dre, you know, guys like that. It's just, you know, and they front line, their defensive line was probably the second best defensive line in the tournament. I think Bulldogs was 3B maybe. I think them and the Bulldogs and the Rollers was very equal. I think with AJ first time playing 9-man tournament, you know, that was their downfall. And he played good. And I think that's the bad thing about it. You know, with him playing as good as he did, you know, that was the negative. You know, if they have Birdman with the team that they had, then I think that'd be hard to beat. I mean, of course, they were missing guys. You know, Fox didn't play on Friday. Darnell Evans, he wasn't there. You know, but there's been some key pieces, and I think, I mean, that's kind of tough because the Lions, it's kind of like, I think I put the Lions 3B and the Bulldogs 4. I think just because of the Lions offense, you know, that might be probably the best wide receiving core on the circuit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Drew Terry is Drew Terry. I mean, I think everybody on the circuit know who Drew Terry is and what he does. And Silva throws the ball. You know, he has great timing with his receiver. I mean, not Silva, Costa.
Costa, yeah.
Costa has great timing with his receivers. Costa know all the lanes. You know, he throws a good ball. I think. I just think this weekend we were just a bad matchup for a lot of teams' offense because of we could send our pressure, but you know we could sit back and we could play man to man on the back end, which was, I think, it helped us a lot because you know now it's not no type of miscommunications.
What's your thoughts on the other styles? You played multiple. Give me your thoughts on the rest of the tournament from your standpoint as a player.
I think the tournament as a whole was great. I mean, most people negatives are. I mean, I think all the games were ran on time. Outside of 9-man, I mean, I don't think I've been to a 9-man tournament where we stayed on time. But
it was really the only thing that was off time. I think your all's game with Strong Island was like 90 minutes late. But I'm not sure what caused that one though.
But I think that's like that's not even a negative with 9-man, you know, because it's still gonna be, you know, I think no matter if the game is scheduled for 10 o'clock in the morning and you kick off at 12, it's still gonna be the same type of intensity.
Exactly.
And but I mean, I think, you know, most people negatives are always the refs. I mean, I think the refs are the refs. I mean, at this, we don't have 32-year vet NFL head referees. You know, I don't think we got guys like that. But I mean, they come out there and they do what they do. I mean, I don't see a point with arguing with the refs because you're gonna get the same results. You know, they're gonna make the same calls. My only thing with the referees is, I mean, just be consistent and I think they was, for the most part, was the most consistent refs, you know, I've been in from every format that I played on. And I mean, that's all I ask for because, I mean, if you're going to make a call on this end, I'm not going to be mad at it or anything. Just when it sides reverse, don't make that call now, you know, because, you know, that's how we play and that's how you call in the game. I think we should adjust to the refs instead of, you know, we jumping down the ref's throat when they miss a call. What I tell my guys all the time is like, at the end of the day, we're not playing against the refs of the other team. I mean, we're playing against the other team, of course, but it's more so about the clock. You know, we arguing with the refs, we arguing the call. The clock is still moving. So,
facts. I always used to tell my guys back when I coached, like there's just no point. Don't fight it.
Yeah, it's no point.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. That's who you got, and at tournaments, you got to be more careful because you're stuck with them all weekend.
Yep.
It's not going to change. They're not going to bring in a new crew on day 2. You're going to get the same refs all weekend. And I think it's hard to be patient for a lot of players because, this is an emotional game. There's a lot of intense feelings going into it. And when something happens where somebody feels slighted or jilted by a referee, that's when the emotions come out. And I feel like that hurts more teams than anything else.
Yeah. I think, like you said, I think that's what hurt more teams than said because that put them behind. Now you arguing with the refs, you on the refs' bad side, but now you also you're chasing points while also trying to chase against the clock, and the clock just don't stop. So it's like I don't know. I mean, it's just hard. I mean, I just try, as as one of the leaders of our team, I just try to keep our guys together.
Yeah, and you guys do great. You guys do a great job holding it together. You really do. Main Event is the premier franchise in flag football right now. A lot of teams. There's flag football. I feel like is going through a big change. We're getting to a point where I don't think everybody is exclusively playing one style anymore. Like maybe the ones first starting out in the game will play one style for a while, but they then adjust to something else. I think we're at a point in flag football where guys are going to be playing multiple styles. I think you'll see a lot of teams become franchises in the game. I think you'll see a lot more expansion because, we've seen what Main Event does in other styles. We see what Strong Island's doing in other styles.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, I mean, I think that's that's good to help grow the game. But like you said, teams are becoming franchises. I think first and foremost, I mean, I myself, and I mean, I'm pretty sure my team feel the same way. Of like, we got to give credit to Ellie and Chris and all the hard work that they put in. They don't have to do the things that they do, but they go all in for Main Event. And that's the type of leadership you could be behind. As far as somebody that's just playing on the team. But I mean, nobody plays just one format. Everybody, especially down in nationals. I mean, you come down to nationals, of course, you want to win that championship. But at the same time, it's a weekend full of football. So why not, play, much football as you can? I think as we get older, myself included, I told myself this past weekend that too, but I think getting older, you got to decide what is your number one format instead of just going and just playing football.
Yeah. No, absolute fact. And I give a lot of credit to the guys who do play the multiple styles. It's a lot of work to get up in the morning and have to drive. Because I'm pretty sure you were staying closer to Northeast Regional.
Yeah, our house was like 5 minutes from Northeast Regional. But like you said, just playing multiple styles. I had to get up at 6 o'clock on Friday and go play in the 8-man game that started at 7:30. Played that game, then turn around and played 3 straight 5-man contact games. Played one non-contact game in 5-man. Left that, had to drive over to the 9-man field to play 2 games. So I mean, that was just on Friday, and that type of stuff is one, to show you that you're dedicated to every team that you play on. If I tell you I'm gonna play for you, I'm not gonna give you half effort. I'm gonna give you everything that I got, and that's to commend some of our teammates. Our guys from the UT Cobras. I live in Philly. I know those guys personally, but for those guys to take back-to-back tough losses after going into Sunday with a chance to win it, and then to show up, at the 9-man fields, that was huge for us because we had guys that's been playing. Was tired. Les was tired. They legs probably was tired. They played 2 games, so it wasn't like they had fresh legs, but they was fresh legs to 9-man. And I mean, they came in and they made an immediate impact, and that was huge for us. But like I said, Elliott and Chris, it goes to show you the type of guys that we got. Still prayer warriors for our guy Aaron Johnson. Twin played all week. He played all weekend, and almost after every snap, he was telling me, it was like, Deuce, like, just got this sharp pain. come to find out, he was, rushed to the hospital yesterday. He had a collapsed lung all weekend, and that's but, as a family, we gathered around, we said a prayer for him, and he came home today. Nobody knew. He didn't know himself, but that's the type of effort that, I could go to war with any day because, I know he's going to give me everything he got. And he did. He had a collapsed lung and he didn't even know. And he was almost crawling off the field. So.
Toughness, man. A lot of toughness. He showed a lot of heart.
Yeah, he did.
So what's next for you, Deuce? What do you got going on next? What's your next tournament? What's your next game?
Next tournament, pretty honestly, whichever one might want to go play in. I mean, that's how it is. If it's an 8-man in Tennessee or a 5-man in Las Vegas, whichever one he want to go play in. I think the biggest thing is, just like we kept telling each other all week. I think main event, this team that we have that we brought to nationals, I think we gonna be here. We got a lot of young guys. I'm not even a young guy on the team no more, and I enjoy it. So like I could take a step back. I could help the other guys coach, but also we got a lot of vets. We got Chicken, we got Z who came back. Just learning from those guys. Mike is gonna be here. I think Mike is gonna be Mike. Mike's not gonna go nowhere. He, as quarterback, he don't get touched too much. He's not gonna run. So he's like Tom Brady, honestly, because he can play as long as he wants because he rarely get touched, and he's not gonna let you touch him. He's gonna throw the ball away before you can get to him.
Yeah.
So
it's you guys are set up perfectly for the future right now. That's the one thing I will say. I'm not sure who could stop main event. Let me ask you, what team do you feel like could get to where you guys are right now out of all of the teams below you? Who do you think has the most potential going forward?
I think it's a lot of teams. I think number one, like I say, I think the Punishers. Just on the simple fact, I think Punishers are 2, 3, 2, 3 guys away. I think they nice from front to back. The Rollers, I don't know what's going on with their camp or what they have going on. I think they have the pieces. I think they probably just have to play together a little bit longer. The Lions, the Lions are the Lions. They're not gonna add, they're not gonna subtract anybody. They're gonna come in, they're gonna play their football. And I think the game has caught up to the Lions. They was when I first started, they was one of the hardest teams to beat. I think the Lions are still there. I think, you got the vets like Drew Terry and Newt who can coach these guys up. They might be one piece away. But I think for us, I think we just got to keep going. Yeah, we want to be a national championship, but they talk about it all the time in the NFL and any sports level to be great. Like, hardest thing to do is to repeat. So I think that's the best thing to do.
We'll see where it goes for main event in 2021. We just started. We're a few weeks in, and seems like right now main event rules the flag football world. And you could say, they may not have won in 5-man, but you look at the championships they've had. They got the 5s, East Coast Nationals, the 8s, West Coast Nationals. They had a 7 somewhere in there. I'm not sure where it was, though. I can't really say offhand. But then you look at 9s here in Nationals.
I think, personally, for me, that's what I want. I want to be that team, that everybody's striving to come get, that had that target on their back, because now we're going to get everybody best shot. Everybody want to beat main event.
Yeah.
And I think coming, the way I grew up, being a competitor, playing ball my whole life, I think that's the type of target I want on my back. It could come off the wrong way or anything, but it's kind of like when you that snake in the grass,
nobody expect anything from you. When you got expectations, everybody got to rise to the occasion.
And Main Event rises to the occasion every time. Best franchise in flag football, without a doubt.
And I mean, that's the main goal at the end of the day, to be the best franchise. Not only want to be the best team, but you want to be the best franchise from top to bottom. And, like I said, that start with Chris and Elliott. I mean, I think those guys don't get enough credit what they do, not only for our team, but like for the 9-man circuit itself.
Yeah. The work they've done, the work they've put in cannot be measured. Like, it's what's going on right now with Main Event is the standard for what every team should strive to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't argue. I mean, I'm blessed to be part of the organization, have a chance to play with guys like that. Like I said, and I wasn't probably still, I'm still not, my name's not a name on the circuit, but, just knowing the right people, I have a chance to come in and play. So.
And this past weekend, you and Main Event came to play indeed. Any final words for tonight, Deuce?
Like I said, everybody that's, watching on the 9-man page, anything, send prayers, check on Aaron, not only he's part of the Main Event family, he's part of the 9-man family. So, check on Aaron, just see how he doing. That's my guy. I talk to him, so I'm going to get an update. He's fine. He's home. But, just looking for the next tournament. Somebody get in touch with, Jamie, so we can play in Atlanta, a tournament in Atlanta. Love to go back home and play. Elliott, Chris, keep doing what y'all doing. All the other guys out there, Eric, keep running teams. Just keep the circuit, together. Keep the 9-man together. And, I'm glad I came over the 9-man. Never, like I said, never played 9-man at all. But, I'm still learning the game of 9-man. I mean, it's regular football, but learning the game from Mike, Chicken, guys on my team, Nuke, even though Nuke played with the Lions, he teaching me the game, Tavon, I talk with Tavon now, I just met so many people playing 9-man that I haven't met, I'm glad I met those guys, but, 2021, we started off right with a national championship, we looking to repeat, it's no ifs, ands, buts about it, it's no in between, no sugarcoating it, like we coming into this season, the circuit season and nationals to go back to back, and that's, like I said, that's the target that we want on our back, and, we got it, so we just going to continue to rise to the occasion.
And we will see what 2021 has for Main Event, the #1 franchise in flag football. Anyways, Deuce, thank you for joining us tonight. Big shout out to Main Event, your 2021 A bracket national champions.
Appreciate you having me.
Appreciate you.
All right.
We go off. Let's play the anthem of Main Event one more time. For Ross Collins, Jerome Russo, Deuce, I'm Joey Blaze. We'll see you in a few for a tribute to the Lou.